Hey guys, so Kylene here. I'm back with part 2 of our seed starting. So I'm really excited. Get ready, we're gonna finish this up. So I'm outside again. Scott just did laundry. You can see it hanging on various trees because we don't have a clothesline hung yet. So that's how we roll around here on the mountaintop. And I am trying to finish up my seed starts for this garden season. I'm a little bit late, like I said in the previous video, just a little bit later than I normally would be, but I had the surgery and I had to kind of bounce back from that. I ran out of the bottles that we were using, so we found this at the store. I don't know if you guys have ever used this. I haven't. I have seed cells in storage, but I don't know where they are and I can't get to them. So I went ahead and bought the 72 cell greenhouse kit, and it has the Burpee super growing pellets. You guys let me know if you've ever tried these. I have never tried the coconut core pellets. Apparently they're supposed to expand, so I'm gonna try these out and see how they work since they came with the kit. I was really just looking for the cells themselves because I have potting soil and stuff like that, but this was all the store had, so you know, we took it. So we're gonna see how this works and get the rest of our seeds planted. Are you guys planting a garden this year? If you are, let me know what you're doing. I want to know all about your garden, whether it's in-ground, raised bed, flower gardens. I love it all. Please do share. Alright, so I'm going to open this bad boy up and we see, I've already read the directions, don't worry guys, I'm not going to blow anything up. So we see that everything is kind of stuck here. What do we got? We got the water trays. This is a plantogram, so you can keep track. I've already got everything written down of what I am planting this year, so I've got it all organized. I just went ahead and did it. So, and then there's the covers to create the greenhouse effect. So, looks like I can get this separated. They were stuck together. Alright, so here's my seed cells, and all the cores, the pellets, are in this one, so I'm going to take a moment and get them separated, you know, to where there's one pellet in every cell. So now it says that I need to pour warm water over these until the little pellets, which I guess I could dig one out and show you what they look like, but they're really compacted. They look like coconut core. So, I mean, I'm familiar with this medium for growing. I've just never used these and never used the pellets before. So I guess I'm going to soak these in some warm water, see if they really do expand. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Honestly, I'm just winging it. It just said to wet them with some warm water, and so that's what I'm doing. Oh my gosh, they're like glowworms. People, they're like glowworms. You know, like the little charcoal worms that you light at the 4th of July? They're growing before my very eyes. It's like magic. It's kind of weird. Oh no, some of them are sideways. Abort! Abort! We've got to save it. Oh man. How did they get sideways? I had them all turning right. So now I've got to try to get them out of here. There we go. Oh my goodness. It doesn't really matter probably, but looks like these need more water. I'm about to run out of water, guys. I should have made more. Have you seen them grow? That's so cool and weird. That is something. Let me tell you, I've seen it all now. I would buy these just to play with them. Alright, I need more water, so I guess I'll be back with more water. And get these all expanded where they should be. This is so much fun to watch. Seriously. Alright, so I said to kind of break them up and, you know, spread them out a little bit. So I'm just going to try to work them, you know, to where they're kind of pliable and broken up and everything. An interesting experiment would be how these seed starts do with germination and growing in this medium versus the one that I put in my bottles, which is just regular topsoil. So that will be an interesting thing to watch, and I will be watching. If I can remember, I have something to show you, a surprise. It's garden related, very much homestead related, so I'll give you a sneak peek of what we got here in just a minute. Alright, so now we are ready to plant some seeds. What I'm doing today is stuff for the raised bed that I didn't get planted the other day. So my plan is to start some more green beans, cucumber, red globe onions. They're called red globe, but that's the heirloom name. They're just a red onion. I picked them because they're really good for storage. So they are known to keep for a longer period of time. And that's why I'm growing these onions, or going to attempt to grow these onions. Rather, I've never tried to grow actual onions, so we'll see how it turns out. More tomatoes as well. So that's what we're planting in these cells here. So before I start planting, I almost forgot, I need to label these. If I don't make some kind of label, I'm going to be lost. So I'm using my handy dandy painter's tape to make my label. And it looks like for some reason my Sharpie is going out, so that's nice. I have to go get a different Sharpie. I'll be back. I am back with 2 Sharpies. Yes, last year I used duct tape, so this is par for the course for me. I'm actually just going to label each cell first. I just figured that'd be easier. So I wrote on the wrong side of the tape. See, look. See? I wrote on the wrong side. So if you guys are watching along on what I'm planting, I'm curious about what you guys are planting. I would love to know what everybody is planting for their garden. The other kind of tomato that I'm planting in the raised bed gardens is Morrow, I guess is what it's called. I don't know. I've never heard of it before, and I don't really know much about it, but it was the only other kind I could kind of get my hands on in short notice. But it just says they have a strong, vigorous, vine-producing, medium-sized, smooth, blocky, globe-shaped fruit. Scarlet in color. It's solid flesh with mild acidity and great for canning. So that's why I got them, because all the tomatoes in the raised bed garden that I'm planting will be put away for storage for winter use, later use. So I'll be canning a lot of tomatoes and tomato products. So that's why I settled on these. So we're gonna try them out. Where do I put those on that? I'm already getting confused, guys. You are supposed to help me not be confused. I'm already getting myself mixed up and mislabeling things in wrong places. So Lord help me. I think I miscounted things because I have 72 cells and I only have 50, 60, 68, 70 cells worth of stuff written down that I had planned out for this these cells. So now I'm wondering how I missed something and why I missed something and what do I plant in these last 2 cells. I could throw in a couple of herbs like sage or something else that I wanted to plant, you know, like companion plant with other things. So let me find those. Going through all these seeds trying to figure out what I'm going to plant in these 2 extra cells reminds me that I really need a different seed organization system right now because I have way more seeds than I did last year. I went kind of crazy on the whole seed buying, but I have ordered, I think I found a solution and I've ordered it from Amazon, so I'm kind of excited for that to come in. I'll show you guys what I got and what my setup is once I receive it and kind of get everything situated. Alright, so we'll put sage in the last 2 here. So I've got 6. Apparently I really don't know what I'm doing and I can't count. This has become apparent to me because I thought I had everything situated with my green beans, the first labels that I did, and I just realized that I only sectioned off 8 and I wanted to plant 10 of them. How my brain did that, I don't know. So now I have to rethink. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna go with it. I already got the labels on here. I'll just throw the extra green beans somewhere and we'll figure those out at the end of what I'm doing because I'm already like halfway through a whole cell tray. Gosh, I am just a hot mess today. Let me tell you, faking it till I make it all the way. All the way. I'm sure it will be mesmerizing to watch myself like confuse myself later on down the road when I'm editing this video. Okay, so let's go ahead and plant our green beans first. The green beans that I chose are called provider beans. They're an heirloom green bean, and they're a bush bean also. I'm hoping they do really well and make lots of green beans for me and my family. This is how I do it. I don't know how anybody else does it. I just kind of use my first knuckle as a basic estimate. I'm not like an expert gardener by any means. I just kind of learn as I go and have fun and hopefully get better as I go. So that's just kind of the name of the game here. I try not to stress out too much about it. I try to be as successful as I can be, but I'm also just very new at this and learning. So you guys have any cool tips? You guys are any pro gardeners out there and have some amazing tips that you'd love to share with me? I would love to know what they are. I would love that, absolutely. These are for my Roma tomatoes, and I'm just going to just kind of barely cover them there. I am planting 2 or 3 seeds per cell just in case one seed doesn't germinate well or whatever. I haven't tried to start tomatoes from seed before. This is my first time trying, and I've heard they're a little finicky about temperature, but we'll see. I figure can't hurt. If these do not start, then I will develop a plan B. Okay, now I need the cucumbers. It doesn't give much planting instructions with these cucumbers, so we'll just kind of see how it goes. Honestly. Alright, so we've got our Marglobe tomatoes next. I'm interested to try and see what these turn out like if I'm successful growing them. I'm just barely creating an indentation because these seeds are so small and delicate. I don't want to cover them up too deep. It doesn't say how deep to plant these, but since they're such small seeds, I'm going to go with just a small indentation and just cover them up very shallow. Take that up a little bit. I apologize if you guys are hearing the generator. I meant to turn it off before I started this video and I forgot. I had it on because I was doing a bunch of computer editing, and that sucks my laptop's battery, so I kind of have to keep it going while I'm doing that kind of work, and I forgot to turn it off, so my bad. So far I've forgotten to turn it off every single time I have recorded one of these gardening videos outdoors, so whoops. I've never grown actual onions. I've grown green onions, and from my experience, they weren't too difficult to grow. So I felt brave and I thought, well, I've got these onion seeds, so let's try it. We'll see what happens. Most of my gardening is trial and error. You'll discover that pretty quickly. And we have one tray done. Forgot to figure out what we're doing in this one. So far I've planted 18 red onion seeds. So almost all of this tray is going to be red onions minus 4. And the other 4 are going to be 2 more green beans and then 2 sage. Like we had talked about, I had miscounted and I still had like 2 extra cells that I didn't realize I had, so Kylene and math. This seems like a lot of onions, however, I have a worksheet that I found where you can kind of calculate how many plants you need to feed an individual for a whole year. And I mean, you know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to feed us for a whole year on what I'm planting, but I hope that we can get through most of the winter and maybe some of the spring possibly. I'm going to sure try. And 50 was about the number of onions for a family of 3, which we are. So that's how I came to that number. And that's kind of what I'm basing some of my other numbers on as well. In case you guys are wondering, how did I come up with the magic number of 50 onions? So by the time I harvest these onions, I hope to have a root cellar, and that will be their home once they're harvested and cured. Part of the reason I became fascinated and passionate with vegetable gardening and gardening in general was because this is a way that I can control the quality of the food that my family can eat, that my family eats. This will be organic basically. And organic, of course, everything has gone up in price now, but organic has always been more expensive to purchase or to buy than anything, and that is always what I kind of want to do. It's always what I wanted to do and couldn't always afford to do. And for a long time I was just so busy, and I didn't feel like I had the time or energy to garden. And you know, I started doing more research into the types of food in the food industry and the practices and the laws, and it just made me more and more want to grow my own food, because this is something that I can control quality wise. And then on top of that, in addition to just that, the healthy aspect, it's cheaper too to grow 50 onions like this than it is to go buy them over time at the store. So that was kind of a no-brainer too, in terms of just being frugal and economic. Like, it's just kind of like, well, so much cheaper. Yeah, it's a little bit of time, it's some work and effort, but it affords you some stress relief, it gives you exercise, it gets you out in the fresh air and sunshine. So just the act of gardening, I feel like, makes you healthier as a person. And not even counting the food. So last year I dedicated part of my yard, my side yard, to a garden, and we did it. And it was a lot of work, you know, to keep up with on top of working at the time. But I did it, and you know, it was one of the most satisfying and fulfilling things that I think I've done in my life. And it makes you feel so good that you grew this and you are self-sufficient. I think I'm gonna plant all of my onions in this packet. Awesome. And that is definitely what we are going for here with homesteading, is being self-sufficient. This represents food security to me and my family. Well, I guess I should have kind of divided those onion seeds up a little bit better than I did, because I ran out. So I now have extra room for extra 2 cells for something else. So what am I gonna plant? That is the question. I think I'm just gonna go with a fennel. I love fennel. I love cooking with it. I love the flavor and the smells. It's so delicious. If you've never cooked with fennel, grow some. It's so worth it. One thing I noticed last year with my garden was that I had grown some fennel, and the butterflies loved the fennel flowers. Loved them. What I'll do with this fennel, I may plant more, but what I'll do with these 2 is I will probably just harvest some as I need it, you know, and leave them in the ground for as long as possible. I might plant more to harvest later, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things that it's not necessary, but gosh, I sure love the flavor when I cook with it. It's so good. All right, let's get these last cells planted. This fennel is called a non-bulbing fennel. These are what the fennel seeds look like. You're probably very familiar with fennel if you are familiar with sausage. It's a popular seed to put into sausage and has a unique flavor. So I've never harvested fennel seeds myself, but that would be an interesting thing to try. I have a book on seed saving, and so that's one of the things I'm trying to learn about, especially since I have these heirloom seeds. I'd really like to become good at saving my seeds for the next years. That's why I went with mostly heirloom varieties and open pollinators. I feel like it's just another way to be self-sufficient. That way I'm not buying seeds every year. This is a broadleaf sage. It's perennial, I believe. A lot of herbs are. It doesn't say, but I think it is, or you could plant it as an annual. I've always just planted it as an annual, but I plan on having some dedicated herb gardens and flower gardens, like medicinal and edible flowers, and letting some of those perennial plants thrive and do their thing. So that'll be fun to see, and less work for me. I'm all about that. All right, we have another cell planted. This is it. This is everything that I'm planting to start seeds for 2022. Now I am planting more vegetables, but I will be direct sowing those. The ones that I will be direct sowing is going to be things like carrots, kale, more green beans, because I just don't have any more cell space and I'd like to plant more green beans, garlic, potatoes, pumpkins, and all the winter squashes that I have, marigolds, and some of the herbs this year, and then okra and maybe a few corn plants, just to see what happens, you know, just experiment and learn from trial and error. So, you know, I'll just definitely throw some seeds in the ground and see what happens and learn about them as we go. To me, it's like the best way to learn. So I will be doing more planting once our raised beds are finished and our garden area is finished, and I can get these transplanted, and then I'll direct sow the rest. Next, I have my first thing that I'm going to direct sow, and I'm going to do it right now at this point in time because you can sow it even before the last frost in your area. It's really hardy, it thrives in the cooler weather, and it's something that I can plant and grow very quickly, and we can eat off of it pretty much now. Come on. So I'm going to sow this right into a potting soil bag here. So I'm going to cut it and leave the sides up on it. Seen my dad and others do this kind of stuff. I've never attempted this before, but basically the end result is something like this. Kind of even the soil out a little bit here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sow this very thick. I'm just going to kind of sprinkle the seeds over it and then lightly cover it up with a little bit of dirt. This is an experiment for me. I've never done this before, so we will see how this works together. This is just something for us to pick and eat as we go. You know, I'll basically just use cuttings of it, and I'm gonna just do this basically. One thing I will have to watch is rabbits. If they discover what I've got going on here, we'll be fighting over this. But the good thing about this is it's semi movable. You know, it's kind of portable. And that's all the seeds I have. So I'm just going to sprinkle some dirt over it to cover the seeds lightly. This is how I'm doing it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing what seems like would make sense to do. That is how I roll. I'm not an expert. Anything that happens that's great in my gardening journey is like a pleasant surprise. Like, oh, look at that, it grew. It's a lot of fun though. So I'll water and we'll see. And now for the thing that you guys have all been waiting for, the sneak peek at our lumber supply haul. So we'll have to go over here to see what we were able to pick up, but I am super duper, I did that backwards, excited. You'll find out the reason that I'm excited here in just a minute. So come on. Check this out. Hold on. Look at this haul. This is cedar, and there are some huge cedar beams. I don't know if you can see them. It's kind of hard to get back where we have them placed now, but they're really big and huge beams. We got a really great deal on this lumber, and what this is going to be is food security. That's why I'm so excited about it, because I'm passionate about that. So the smaller logs here are logs, the smaller like the 2x6s and stuff, those are going to be our raised beds. We will turn those into raised beds, and we figure we can get about 6 or 7 raised beds out of this part of this lumber here. These big beams over here, like, they're massive. They're like 8 by 12. Like, if you look at that thing, it's huge. Those big beams are going to be the frame for our root cellar that we're going to build, which will store, hopefully, a lot of the stuff that I'm growing right now. So you can see why I'm super excited. These big beams cost nowadays about $500 a piece, and then there's some smaller beams as well on top of just the 2x6s. So we did not pay anywhere close to that. We just happened upon a local guy at a really great price, and we were able to take advantage of it, and I'm so excited. All right, well, that is it for today. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of Seed Starting Part 2, and I'll keep you updated on the little sprouts. My plan is to keep them in the camper when it's cold weather. That way their temperature is more moderated, and then move them outside once they have germinated and need light, because I don't have a grow light situation right now or anything like that. So that's my theory. I'm sticking to it. This is my plan. Hopefully I'm successful, and I will keep you guys posted. See ya.